Hello and welcome to Internet Marketing in an Hour a Day. And an hour actually is quite a long time if you spend it productively. You'd be amazed how many people get a lot done, yet they're in meetings for half a day and then they're messing around looking at email and stuff like that. So actually an hour, productive hour, is likely to put you quite high up in your competition. It sounds really weird because you're thinking, well, most people 8-hour days and stuff like that, but in actual fact an hour is an awful long time to be productive. Of course it does mean you have to be productive, not just spending say 50 minutes checking emails and 10 minutes working, which is probably how most people do things, even if they don't like admitting it. So time management, that's an oxymoron anyway, but you need to be disciplined. The other thing that's almost certainly crossing your mind at the moment is you don't necessarily have a continuous hour available to you, and unless you're full-time employed or full-time self-employed, you probably don't. That's fine. Join the rest of the world as well. That's not unusual. And the good news is it doesn't matter. 2 30-minute slots, 4 15-minute ones will work fine, 3 20-minute ones. Whatever works with your schedule doesn't really matter so long as you do it. And again, the trick here is to actually make it a habit, because it takes us, opinions vary, but generally between 14 and 28 days to form a habit, which means that for the first probably month you're going to need to be very, very disciplined with yourself and think, set an alarm on your phone, set several alarms on your phone saying actually I've got to do it now. You can find the time almost certainly. If you've got a family, it might be before they get up or after they've gone to bed. If you're in the habit of watching the news for half an hour a day, use that time slot for some of your time, because watching the news is pretty much unproductive time. If it's a soap or a TV program you watch, that's fine, but use a hard drive recorder to record it. That way, with commercials, you'll cut an hour's program down to 40 minutes. That's just giving you 20 minutes. You'll be able to work out in your time, in your daily routine, where you've got the time. And if not, the easiest way to do it is an Excel spreadsheet. And here's what I've done for today. I hadn't normally done it because what I tend to do with this kind of thing is do it for a little while and then it keeps you on track for quite some time. It doesn't have to be an Excel spreadsheet, could be a sheet of paper, could be anything you just keep to one side to do it, and then you've got the date. Split your day into half-hour chunks, that's fine, and what have you been doing for the majority of that time? Put in there. So I was checking emails because I tend to do that pretty much first thing. Bit of breakfast, I've been working on a database project, coffee break, a bit more of that, then needed to get a freelance project going, and then started recording this video. And what that'll do is it'll leap out at you what you're doing, when you're doing it, whether you're doing it right. Very, very fast, because if most of it is checking emails, looking at Facebook and so on, then you're probably not being very productive, and that's where you can find the 20 minutes 3 times a day or whatever it happens to be. So analyse your time if need be, and consider using the Pomodoro technique, if I've pronounced it right. I'll put a link below this video anyway, but it's a good way of messing around with your time anyway. So the Wikipedia page is what I'm doing, and essentially you split your day into 25-minute intervals and then you have a 5-minute short break after that, so it's effectively half-hour things, but you work solid on it for 25 minutes and a short 3 to 5 minute break, and then if you're doing it for most of the day, take a longer break every 4 of them, so every 2 hours you take a longer break. Works really well. It's very easy to do. Just set a timer. They've got a picture of a kitchen timer. This Pomodoro, because it's a tomato shape, because Pomodoro is tomato, apparently. But doesn't have to be that. Just could be a timer on your phone. Absolutely anything. And what that'll do is it just keeps you on track on time management, because that is probably the biggest issue that most people face on internet marketing or pretty much anything else in their life. And if you start doing that spreadsheet and you find that most of your day is spent checking emails, checking Facebook, checking Twitter, checking who's viewed your LinkedIn profile, checking your stats again, and hoping you've made an affiliate sale even though you know you haven't, because you get an email from your affiliate program or whatever, it's the kind of time wasting that makes you think you're productive, but you're not. So you need to turn that round, and time management is probably the only way you can do it. It's something I'm not always fantastic at. No one I've ever met is. We all get distracted. You start off on something and think, well, what have I just done for the last 2 hours? That was a 5-minute job, but it wasn't, because it turned into more. One other trick on time management, which works a real thing, if you start with the big things first. It doesn't just apply to internet marketing, it applies to anything you're doing, and it will probably turn you around as well as these other techniques. What happens is, if you start with all the small things first, you've got 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, another 5 minutes here, and so on. Before you know it, half the day or the whole day is gone, and you haven't got time to even contemplate starting the bigger things. Whereas if you set an hour aside for the bigger thing, or whatever it happens to be, or 2 hours, the small stuff will actually fit in around it. It's kind of weird. The way I've heard it described, and it's quite good, is if I gave you a bunch of stones ranging from quite large down to sand sized, and gave you a flask or something to fill them with, put as much in as you possibly could. If you started with the sand first, you wouldn't get very much in. If you start with the large stones and then the smaller ones, they'll fill in the gaps, and then the smaller ones will fill in the gaps again, and the sand will fill in the final bits. And that works with time. It's a really good analogy. And it means if you start doing that in your life, not just in the internet marketing, because if you're doing internet marketing for an hour a day, you've got 23 hours a day to other stuff, including sleeping, eating, and everything else you need to do during the day. And what you'll find is that you'll actually become more productive in everything, not just in the internet marketing, and you'll have the time to do it, and you might even find that you've got an hour and a half a day. Fantastic. Even better. So time management, if you're not good at it, you need to get better at it. It's really as simple as that. Any questions on that, shoot me an email, I'll do my best to help. But the important trick is start it. As I said, if you analysing your time is the other part of it, because if you do that, you'll find it leaps out at you where you're not spending your time productively, and then you can adjust accordingly.